Jury selection in the Boston Marathon bombings trial is underway nearly 2 years after a pair of bombs exploded at the Boston Marathon finish line. Surviving suspect Dzhokhar Tsarnaev is accused of killing 3 people and injuring more than 200 others in an attack planned with his brother. He's also accused of killing an MIT police officer as he and his brother tried to flee the city. Tsarnaev faces the death penalty if convicted, and now lawyers are just trying to find a group of impartial jurors. We're joined by former U.S. Attorney for Rhode Island, Robert Corrente, as we dig deeper into the jury process. We're looking at 2 to 3 weeks of the jury selection, as Jared mentioned, at 5 o'clock. With at least 1,200 prospective jurors, is it going to be difficult to choose a jury because it's a high-profile case and the death penalty could be on the table?
You know, both of those factors could make it a little more difficult to come up with a jury pool for 2 reasons. One is people have some very strong feelings, pro and con, about the death penalty, and that's an issue the court will have to explore. Second problem is that because the case has been so heavily publicized, the court and the lawyers are going to have to find jurors who will not let their views be shaped by the publicity and will listen to the evidence as well.
You know, you've gone through this process before. Who comes up with the questionnaires?
It's kind of a team effort. The judge will sit with the lawyers, solicit their questions, their suggestions, but at the end of the day, the final say is up to the judge.
You know, this has kind of been a big question. Is there any chance there could be a plea in this deal?
You know, in these cases in particular, there's always that chance, but because it is a death penalty case under the Department of Justice death penalty protocol, if there were to be a deal struck, the Attorney General of the United States would have to sign off on that.
You know, Jared mentioned on Eyewitness News Live at 5, we're looking at a long trial, maybe up to 4 months. Could it be a lot longer than that, too?
4 months is quite a long time, but the thing to remember there is that, again, because it's a death penalty case, this is actually 2 trials. The first trial to determine guilt or innocence of the defendant, and if the defendant is convicted on one of the charges that carries the potential for the death penalty, there's a whole second proceeding with the same jury focused solely on the issue of whether or not to impose the death penalty.
All right, Robert Corrente, thank you very much for your thoughts. And count on Eyewitness News for continuing coverage on air and online of the Marathon bombings trial. Coming up new at 6 tonight, we're going to bring you more team coverage from the courthouse in Boston. Plus, we'll hear from one of the injured Newport native Heather Abbott, who is now planning to attend the trial.